Hi, welcome to today's video. Today we've got a lot of excitement. We're building a cabinet base to go in the back of the ambulance, and we're using aluminum extrusions called 80/20. I had all the 80/20 cut, shipped to me, and now I'm putting it all together and going to then place it into the ambulance, and then we're going to mount or put our countertop onto it. And I'm going to show you the whole process of everything we've done, where I've got it from. You can see that link down in the bottom of the video here. And it's going to be a lot of fun. This took a couple weeks to do because I got pretty far into it, then realized I needed to order a couple new mounting parts, and that took an extra week to get here. So let's get going with the 80/20 and let's get to it. First, here's a diagram that I designed, and this is what allowed me to be able to get the 80/20 cut to all the different sizes that I needed. And here's how it arrived. I just unpacked it, couldn't wait to get it going. And here's what the little corner end pieces look like. You use a little Allen wrench and stick in there, and these parts, they're going to slide into the ends, and then with the Allen wrench you tighten them in. I'm going to speed it up here a little bit so it goes faster, so I can show you a couple of these in a faster speed. Here we go, speeding it up. But they slide together like that, push them in, tighten them up. Everything connects together. Now here I'm using two of them, one on each side, connecting this center double thick beam piece in here. One more. Till you get them tightened up, you can slide them around, you know, right or left to push it into the area that you want. Basically what I'm doing right here is I'm putting the framing together kind of loosely because everything's not perfectly straight yet. I've got to figure out where I want my center pieces, especially that one center beam between the cabinets there. Flip it over there. There you go. And next we're going to take it and get it put up into the truck. Coming up right now. Okay, here you can see we took the 80/20 framing, the basic framing we started with, and we have it in the truck. And right down in here, that's the area where I got to cut a piece of wood that's going to go in there and it's going to fit in the track. And then I've got two little areas down here that I've got to cut some wood, so it's going to go in a track down there. What I'm working on right now is going to have two of these pieces that are going to go in here. That way this area down here where the wheel well is blocked off, and we'll have a piece of wood in here and a piece of wood in here. I've got to put the parts in and drop this in here, but I've got to measure it, and then I've got to take it back out once I need to put the wood in, because the wood has to fit in the slots, in the 80/20 slots. So that's what I'm working on right now, adjusting all that. Okay, today we're going to cut some wood. I'm going to cut it down here on the ground so this is a more solid surface. I've already marked off the lines here that I need to cut. Now I'm going to be using a track saw system. This is a track saw from Eureka Zone. I used to have their full setup. It was a freestanding system called the dead wood system. You could put wood under it, drop the track down on it, and cut exact, precise cuts. Since I don't have space anymore, that we had a different house back then, I'm just using tracks. The saw goes into a track like this, and then follows right down your line. The idea is your weight should hold the track down. is this not doing? Okay, let's see, how do we do? Perfect straight line. Here's a closer look. We cut this piece off. Look at that. Perfect straight line. And we only cut into the styrofoam about 1/4 of an inch. This piece of wood that I cut, this is my diagram for my 80-20 area that we're putting in the truck. This area in here is going to be covered with this piece of wood. We're going to paint it. I'm going to have to put little notches in the edges here where the 80-20 little L shapes connect together. This is basically the outside box, the double compartment that opens up, that sticks in. So we can't use that inside. It's actually, I'm going to have a range that's sitting on top. This is some of the 80-20, and the 80-20 has these grooves, these slots. The outside part that points towards the front is the smooth part, but this will be completely enclosed in these grooves inside this area. So we've got to get that all done, because once this is closed in with the parts all on 4 sides, you can't open it back up. Well, unless you take the whole thing apart. And then I've got 2 other areas. This is where the tire area is and the gas come in. These are inside the truck, so I can't use that. So I'm going to put 2 pieces down here too, and then have this open area up on top. So we're going to cut those pieces next. If you can see in here, now that I have this L connector in here, when I go to put wood in, it's going to hit the L connector. So I'm going to have to cut on both sides. See that? I'm going to have to cut a groove in the wood on all 4 corners for it to fit in correctly, so it fits in flush. Otherwise, I would only be able to get them in this far. This is how this fits in here. It's going to slide in like that. Got a little bit of a gap around it. It's the best I could do. So that's what it'll be. My wife's getting ready to paint it over here. Now my wife is painting the boards, and then when this gets dried, then we can work on putting the rest of the 80-20 together, since these boards have to go enclosed on all 4 sides in between the 80-20 metal. This will be just 3 areas. There's 2 here, and we've got a larger one over here to the side. After getting all this together, I now see I have to take it back apart because I put part of it together wrong. You You can see on this here I have this smooth side. I ordered these just so I'd have these smooth sides facing forward. This, the smooth side, I put in the back, put the smooth side in the back, so I have to turn these around, turn that around. This I couldn't get in a smooth side, so that has the grooves. That's a double width area. So I've got to turn these around. Also, I put in some wood in the background here, and I cut this wood to size. I've got one piece here, and we've got another one up over here, so I can have like a little shelf area that's nice and clean. What I did with the wood was I coated it with a urethane, 2 coats of it. I'll take a picture of that and put it in here. It is, it waterproofs it. It adds a nice little coating to it. I coated both sides of it and all 4 sides of it. That way, if I ever get a water leak under here, it's just going to bead the water off because it's got 2 layers of urethane protection on it. Also, on our countertop that we're going to put in, I took all the extra open edges of the countertop and the whole back part of the countertop, and I painted the urethane, 2 coats of it on that yesterday as well. So if we ever get any, little water leaks from the faucet or anything, spills going around it and dripping underneath it or anything, it's all water protected. Now here's the other side. This is just all sitting in here right now. I'm going to probably screw it down at least in 2 places, maybe 4 places. And that way we'll have a nice wood area that's all water protected, water sealed. So now I'm going to get back to reversing these pieces over here that I put in wrong. Now I've reversed these pieces. Now we have the nice smooth side to the front like it should have been to start with. For what I'm going to put together here, this is going to be put together with these L pieces. You have a screw that goes in here, and then this part here will slide into the tracks like that to hold these pieces together. And this is going to be framed up something like this here. Got to make sure you put your little inserts in the track. On this side I had to take apart this top track to get an insert in there. And actually, if you start these ahead of time, they're a little easier to deal with. Sometimes they're hard to screw into because you got to get them lined up just perfect. Slide that in there.
So you've been working hard.
And let me see, slide this in there. Yeah, I was measuring this because it's slightly off, and the reason is because I put this wood here, I didn't anticipate the thickness of the wood when I raised this frame up this high. So this piece right here is not able to push down fully to the bottom of this. So it's raising this up just a little bit, maybe 1/4 of an inch. So that's not raising this up because this moves up. So just this side is 1/4 of an inch higher than that side, and that's why I'm just a hair off. But that should be okay since that's going to the back. It's going to be in the side out of the way in that whole area over there. Now all this 80/20, I had it pre-cut. I designed this on my computer measured everything out, got everything precisely the way I wanted it, and when I ordered all the 80/20, I had them pre-cut it. It's a lot easier to have them cut it. So when it came in the box, everything was pre-cut. All I had to do was put it together. And so far, I'm exactly perfect on everything I measured and wanted to do, except for me not figuring in a piece of wood, but that's not that big a deal for that side right there. So this basically just blocks off this area here where the stove is going to be setting up in here. And I might put a piece of metal or something right here. I've got a bunch of extra aluminum that we've ripped out of the walls and stuff in here if I can get it cut. And just screw that onto here somehow or other. So in this area here, I've got 4 pieces to go in here. So I'll have one down here, like 1, 2, 3, somewhere spaced out even or close to it. And then I've got the other piece already there. And then my long piece will be mounted against the wall back here that these will all then connect into. The hard part I got to figure out is how to get this back piece. Let me grab it real quick. How to get this back piece mounted on the wall straight. So when I put here, I'm going to put some pressure on it, hold it. So those will be in there like that. But this piece needs to be even, so when we put the countertop on here, the countertop's not lopsided because it's all going to have to be screwed in from underneath. So this is going to have to fit, be put in here straight, and that's hard to do since the truck is kind of in at an angle. It's getting quite late, getting a little bit darker in here. Camera's at a higher ISO. Running into a problem where I didn't order enough parts. These end pieces right here, I need more of them. I put these side pieces in. This will go back in here. I have enough to connect these in, but I don't have enough to then run the pieces that go underneath here that then I'm going to screw into the wall at all these points. So I'm going to have to order more of those. Okay, here what we did is I've got the countertop setting on top of the 80/20 just to see what it looks like. And we have our space for our sink here. I'm working on getting ready to mount it. This is like a little over a week later because I had to order some more parts, the connecting parts, to get this connected on here. And this back rail has to come up. I still got to put this back piece in. Let me see if I can grab this off of here real quick. What I had to order more of was these fasteners. I've got all these fasteners, so these are connected in here. They're facing up, so when I put the countertop down on it, I'll be able to screw up into the fasteners into all these places to be able to hold the countertop on. Let me see, I've got a bunch of them all in here. Going back down here. And what I still need to do is this back piece here, I've only got it screwed in right here in one spot. It's a little bit too low. I'm going to have to unscrew this, raise this up, because the countertop right now when I set it on it, it's a little crooked because this side needs to come up, so I'm going to unscrew this. And then I've got these same kind of pieces here underneath here lined up. I got a piece for each one of my panels or my wall areas everywhere. So it'll be screwed in multiple places to hold it in. So I've got this large bottle of Loctite, heavy duty, and I'm going to go around to as many of these screw mounts and everything that I can and take them out a little bit, put a little bit of Loctite in there at all the fastening points. That way when we're driving and this thing's rattling and moving around a little bit, I don't want any of these screws vibrating, coming back out, that's holding the whole entire assembly together. It's another view of it all. And I've got my oven stove sitting up here where it's going to go. And I've got one, mounting piece that's going to go in here. Now over here where the 80-20 meets the wall, this is pushing against this nice and tight. I'm going to put one of these in like that, and then I'll tighten that in, move this over to where I want, and then I'll put a screw holding that into the wall right there, so this will be mounted in there good. So it'll be mounted there. It'll be mounted all along the back to all my panel areas. It's not going to be mounted down on the floor, at least not right now. We have this lip of the original rubber flooring. It pushes against it pretty hard, keeping it in place, so I think that's going to be okay for now. If we eventually cut this and trim it, let me see here. Yeah, then I could slide in some more of those mounts, and then I could screw them straight down into the floor. We'll have to see if this is steady enough without that. Then hopefully we don't need to do that, but if I do need to do that, that's something I can do. So I pulled this screw out a little bit, and I'm going to add a little bit of Loctite onto it. Get that around it like that, and then we'll put it back in. Nothing moved, luckily. Tighten it up a little bit better. I'm going to use this. Okay. Okay, all done. I did all my corner pieces, putting the Loctite on it, and I was thinking about going back and doing my other pieces like this, but considering that it screws into this bottom piece, if I can't loosen them up all the way or I'll lose my whole line alignment. That was a bit of a nightmare. That's why I got these together and I would slide them on. And if I just loosen this up and put a little bit under here, that really isn't going to go anywhere, because it'd have to go through this hole and seep down there, and it's not going to be in the threads where I've got it tightened. So I'm not going to do this on them, and I'll just go back around all those all these type of fasteners and just tighten them up a little bit more, get them a little bit more snugger. Okay, what we're looking at here is the underside of the 80/20 with the countertop on top. That's my sinkhole. I've put my first mount in right there, and I've got the countertop, so it's about as straight as it's going to be. And what we're going to do is go down the line here and add more in. And I've got a large bag of these self-tapping screws. I have a lot of these self-tapping screws because this is what I'm going to use on the roof when I mount the solar panels down onto the roof. That one went in pretty easy. And there we go, nice and tight. Okay. That just busted the screw head right off. Now, since that other one broke off, I moved this a little bit over to the right side here, so if I end up breaking this off, I can always move this then over to the left and try again. But I think that broke off because I was at a weird angle trying to get out of the way of the camera. I wasn't screwing it in straight, so I think it went in kind of crooked and then bent, and then that just sheared the head off. I hope that was it. I hope these screws are a little bit better than that. Good, didn't break. I need to figure out what screws I'm going to use for these mounts underneath here. So these will all screw into the bottom of the countertop. It's already later in the day and it's getting a little darker out, so I'm losing a lot of my light inside here. Not much sunlight coming in. It's January here, and I'm only wearing just a light jacket, not really much of anything, a sweat jacket. It's not really that cold here. I think it's probably in the upper 60s right now. Kind of amazing how warm we stay here when other areas they're covered in snow. Now I've got one area here in the corner that's a little weird. This is in here tight, and then I have a little gap back there. Something wasn't quite right. But the plan was, this actually should have been moved. I should have moved this forward some, I guess, because the plan was to have like another one of these rods here. I have this 6 foot tall rod right here going down to the floor, and that's going to be part of the framing of this bathroom area when I cut this out here. And then I'll have another rod, 80/20 piece, coming up. Is that focusing? Coming up from back here, and then they can connect across the top. And then there'll be a wall panel that'll go there. So I'll have to try to make that wall panel come in a little bit tighter, because we're going to cut this area out here, cut the top off, and that's going to be a small little bathroom shower area. And then this 80/20 will go across to the other side. I've got two other 6 feet pieces. I'll go one there and one in the back corner so we could frame it out a square at the top to make a new kind of a doorway or panelway, or not 100% sure what I'm going to do yet, but that's the plan. I'm not going to include it in this video because I don't have the parts, but eventually I'm going to put these rails in, and then I've got to cut my sliding glass doors, well, not sliding glass doors, my wooden slide doors that'll go in this area, go down in that bottom area, and then two will be split going in this area. So maybe I'll make another video on that at some point. That way I can at least get this video done and edited, showing the basic framing, how we did the 80-20. Then I've got to build a base of some sort so this oven stove will stay here in place and doesn't come flipping off when we're driving. Okay, that was our 80-20 build. We built the countertop with this 80-20. Got these little slide rails that everything slides into the bolts. I had it pre-cut and everything. I'll put a link down to the bottom of the video where I ordered this from. I measured everything and they pre-cut it for me, so it arrived in a package already pre-cut, which was fantastic. I apparently did a really good job of measuring because everything came out just right the way I wanted it to be. So this was our 80-20. It's our cabinet base. And then you saw we mounted, well, I didn't mount it yet, but I put the countertop on because I had to even out the 80-20 of how I mounted it to the back wall. And next I'm just going to put some screws into the bottom of the countertop to hold it in. And we've got a couple more parts to order for some sliding doors, and I've got to cut the wood for that. But for now, this is today's video, putting in the 80-20. I love this stuff. This is pretty easy to use, and I would recommend this to anybody. Just make sure you put some Loctite on there, on all the screws, or the little corner pieces, the hex screws, to hold them in place so they don't come undone. We have a lot more videos coming up. Please like and share and subscribe to our channel. And hey, I'll see you next time.